And let me read the first part of chapter 7, dealing with the 144,000, and that goes all the way through to about verse 9. So I'm going to start in verse 1. It says, "After these things I saw 4 angels standing on the 4 corners of the earth, holding the 4 winds of the earth, that the wind should not blow on the earth, on the sea, or on any tree. Then I saw another angel ascending from the east, having the seal of the living God, and he cried with a loud voice to the 4 angels to whom it was granted to harm the earth and the sea, saying, 'Do not harm the earth, the sea, or the trees, till we have sealed the servants of God on their foreheads.'"
A seal is to be placed on the believers. So there's a lot of discussion about what is this seal. Now,
Pastor Doug, can I add one quick
please,
thought here?
I want you
Just
here.
to kind of give the setting here, Pastor Doug mentioned it, the Revelation chapter 7 is in the midst of the 6th and the 7th seal, but there is an important question that's asked in the 6th seal that leads into the 144,000. And you find it in Revelation chapter 6. Just to back up a little bit, just to give you the context, verse 15 says, "And the kings of the earth, and the great men, the rich men, the commanders, the mighty men, every slave, every free man, hid themselves in the caves and the rocks of the mountains. And they said to the mountains and the rocks, Fall on us, and hide us from the face of him who sits upon the throne, and from the wrath of the Lamb. For the great day of his wrath is come, and who shall be able to stand?" So the 6th seal brings you right up till the second coming of Jesus, but a question is asked. The question is, the day of his wrath has come, talking about the second coming of Jesus. The question is, who's going to be able to stand when Jesus comes? And then John hits the pause button, backs up just a little bit to talk about a group of people that are able to stand when Jesus comes. And he gives a characteristic of this group of people and says, oh, they have the seal of God in their foreheads.
Well, now let's talk for a second about what is the seal of God. And if you look in Isaiah chapter 8, verse 16, he says, "Bind up the testimony, seal the law among my disciples." So somewhere in the law of God, you find the seal of God. Now, I always like to take people on just a visual of this for a second. If I were to say we went on a trip to the Holy Land this year, where did we go? Israel. And then if I tell you while we were in the Holy Land, we went to the Holy Mount. Where's that? Temple Mount, Mount of Olives. It's actually Mount Moriah, which is the Temple Mount. Mount Zion, it's sometimes called. And on the Temple Mount, you've got the holy city. What city am I talking about? Jerusalem. And in the holy city, you've got the holy temple. And in the holy temple, you've got the holy place. And just beyond the holy place, you have what? The Holy of Holies, or the most holy place. Now notice how often the word holy appears here. You got the Holy Land, you got the holy city, you got the holy mount, you got the holy temple, you got the holy place, you got the Holy of Holies. And in the Holy of Holies is the Holy Ark. And in the Holy Ark is the Holy Law. And in the Holy Law, you find the word holy one time. Do you know where? 4th commandment. Isn't that interesting? And God's, the purpose of the plan of salvation is to make us holy. And so the seal of God is in the middle of his law. It's the only commandment where you find the word holy. And something else. What are the characteristics of a seal?
Well, a seal, if it's going to have any value, it has to have the name of whoever has the authority of that seal. So often it would have the name of the king. It would have the territory that the king governs. It would also then have some kind of title connected with the king. Well, you might say the king, the monarch of whatever place it might be. It gives the territory and it gives his title. So dominion, who it is, and title are 3 characteristics that you typically find in a seal.
When Darius put his seal on the stone, when Daniel was put in the lion's den, that seal said, Darius, that's his name, king, that's his title, Medo-Persia, territory. When Pilate put a seal on the tomb of Jesus, it said Pontius Pilate, that's his name, governor, Judea. And so where in the law of God do we find the seal of God? You know, what part of the 4th commandment? Where it says, "For in 6 days the Lord," Jehovah, that's his name, "created," that's his office, he is the creator and sustainer of all things, "the heaven and the earth," his territory. So in the middle of the law of God, you find the word holy, and you find the seal of God, the components of a seal. And the Sabbath is really different because all the other commandments, it says, don't worship other gods and don't take the name of the Lord God. But it's not until you get to the Sabbath it describes who this God is, the Sabbath commandment.
Now, of course, the Sabbath being an outward sign of the seal, it's more than just a day, although the day is very important, especially at the end of time. But like any of the Ten Commandments, it has to do something with the heart. You know, the new covenant promise that God makes with those who believe in him, that he'll write his law on their hearts and in their minds. So to have the seal of God is more than just an outward observance of a particular day, but it is to have that law of the Creator written in our hearts and our minds. It has to do something with our character, with our belief, with our faith.
When you think about something in the forehead or the hand in Revelation, do you think of something good or bad? A lot of people, if I say you're going to get something before the end of the world, someone's going to offer you a mark in your forehead. Do you want it? And people go, oh. But all the saved have a mark in their forehead. Everybody's marked in the forehead or the hand in Revelation. There's a good mark you read about in Ezekiel 9. If you read this vision in Ezekiel 9, only those who receive the mark from this angel live through the terrible judgment that goes through the land. And so everybody wants that mark. Keep in mind also the mark of the beast. He talks about the hand of the forehead. If you look in Deuteronomy when the Ten Commandments are given, Deuteronomy chapter 5, then go to chapter 6, where God says, Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is one. Thou shalt love the Lord with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength. And he says, These words I command you this day, that's the Ten Commandments, shall be in your heart. Clearly a symbol, right? Teach them to your children diligently. Put them on the doorposts of your house. Then he says, Bind them for a sign on your hand. Put them as frontlets between your eyes, that the Lord's law may be in your heart. And so it says, if you don't have the law of the Lord in your heart, in your hand, in your head, that means your actions, your thoughts, your affections, you'll have the mark of the beast in the last days. You either have one or the other. If you're not with him, you're against him. Is the Sabbath a sign? Go ahead, read for us, please. I think it's Ezekiel 20:20.
Ezekiel 20:20. Hallow my Sabbaths, and they will be a sign between me and you, that you may know that I am the Lord your God.
I'm going to read a companion verse. It's verse 12 of the same chapter, chapter 20 of Ezekiel. Moreover, I gave them my Sabbaths to be a sign between me and them. The word sign, insignia, seal are interchangeable in the Bible. And so it says a Sabbath is a sign. It's a seal. And so it shows what God you worship and why you worship him, because he's a creator. So go ahead.
Something else related to the mark and the seal, of course, as Pastor Doug mentioned in the book of Revelation, at the end of time, everybody alive on the earth, when Jesus comes, will be marked. They'll either have the seal of God, or they will have the mark of the beast. And of course, in Ezekiel 9, that seal is also referred to as a mark that is placed in the forehead. So it can be used interchangeably. Something else interesting about the word mark in the original Greek, it comes from the word karakteia. We get the English word character from the word karakteia. So it's kind of interesting that the seal or this mark at the end of time has something to do with the character, has something to do with the heart. Of course, the new covenant promise is to write God's law in the heart. Whereas those who have the mark of the beast, they have just the opposite of God's law in their heart. They have the law of the beast power. So the two groups are brought to view in the last days.
Thank you so much for studying with us. God willing, we'll continue to study the book of Revelation next week.